Welcome to our tour of HotOperations, a case management and work optimization product available as an add-on to Sequence 8. This tour is being presented by P&M Soft CTO James Luxford. HotOperations enables work optimization within an operation. It enables dynamic case management and real-time work allocation for operations managers and team leaders. And finally, it delivers impact on cost and SLA of the operation, transforming business outcomes. We now go to James Luxford to see HotOperations in action.
So HotOperations is about changing how the process is being used. So how are my cases being allocated? Who's doing what? What are my resources that are available to me? So rather than being a capability for change for the business analyst, for the sequence designer, this is a capability for change for the operations manager, for the team leader. And they are the two main roles that we have. The operations manager oversees a number of teams. The team leader oversees a number of workers within a team. And then, of course, there is the team member. So the operations manager has access to an out-of-the-box dashboard to be able to see the ability to be able to say for a team what their base cost is, and then being able to understand how much is it costing me to deliver my operation. And I can see how many cases we're getting through. I can see how many were done on time versus overdue. I can see how different teams are performing. But the real good part of this is our work allocation dashboard. Here we're talking about cases. This is a loan origination process. These are all the instances of loan applications that have been submitted. And as an operations manager, I look after 4 teams. They all do slightly different tasks typically. They all have a slightly different cost base. 3 are internal, 1 is an external, so we sometimes subcontract our work out to our West team. We've got a number of cases that have been created. A number of these you'll see are now in North and South teams, have been allocated to those teams. I haven't done that, no one has done that. That was done through allocation rules. So as part of the solution, you can define, based on the process variables, you can define which team is going to be allocated to a particular case. And so any corporate loans we've allocated to the North team, any mortgages we've allocated to the South team. But we've also got personal loans as well. But we didn't want to allocate those automatically. We want the operations manager to be able to allocate those. And in seeing the cases, we can see roughly when they are due. There's one for Henry Ford up here that was due 1 day ago. But we can also see how far through the cases we are. They're all fairly similar cases, so they're all pretty much towards the end. These are based on the stages. These cases could be underway, but I need to decide who's going to action this. So I can click on a case, and I can then drop it somewhere. But in dropping it, I can be told, well, what effect is that having on my cost? This is my cost per case. What actually happens is the cost per case will effectively decrease as I move up here. And I can decide where I'm going to put it, and I can drop it in here, and all of my gauges will change accordingly. I could do it one at a time, or I may decide that I want to do all of them in one go. And I then have them as a group, and we can see what impact this is having on my cost base as we go through. So I'm going to drop it on my East team over here. Up here we have a workload indicator. This is showing me for the remainder of the calendar month, this is how much capacity I've got, and I can see how much work has been allocated here. As it builds up and I fill my team up, we'll hit the red up here, and I'll know that that team is full up, and I can then take some action to perhaps reassign some cases to other people. So even once I've allocated to one team, I can still move it around. So this is our case board, a very nice visual way to be able to manage all of our cases. The last thing, if I decide, okay, this really needs to be done quickly, if I put it back over here, I can also make it important by flagging it as important. So as well as the graphical view, I also have my tablet view. This is my list of all of my cases, ordered by the most important ones first, the ones I flagged as important, and then by due date. But what I can do with this view, I can select an item and I can perhaps reallocate it, set as important, remove the importance flag. I can also change the properties as well. But I don't just have to do this on a single case basis. I could select a number of these, so I could select all of these cases, or I may do a filter to say show me all of my cases that are with the East team or all of my mortgages, and I can then reallocate all of those together or change some properties of them together as well. So this is a custom form that you can create to change the metadata of the cases. This is all part of our case management capabilities. I can also, from here, I can view a case homepage. This will show me more details about that particular case. But what we can also do in here as well is we can kick off some further case actions. So I may want to run a basic credit check or an enhanced credit check. And by clicking OK, that can now launch a sub-process. And when I come back in here, I can see all of my case actions that are happening. That was actually a short one. I can click, I can create and approve. And that will then actually kick off an approval that needs to go to someone. Hasn't been completed yet because there's now a sub-process that's been kicked off waiting for Jane to give her approval on this particular case. So rather than following a very structured process, we can now decide, okay, what do we need to do in this particular circumstances? When we run through this, what will happen is we run a basic credit check and an internal KYC, and know your client. And that comes back as we're not too sure about this particular new customer. And Jane she doesn't approve it, she says we need more information. And then we can come back in and decide, well, what information do we need to do? What do we need to do to look at this in more detail? So the case manager can decide what they want to do. And there's a stage gate point within the process that's saying, we don't mind what's going on, but we just sit and wait until we either have this case approved or rejected. We don't mind what goes on in between. Lots of different things. Several approvals can happen, but only once we've got a firm decision do we move on. Another case management capability that we've added to Sequence. So we've seen what the operations manager and the case manager can do. Now the team leader is looking after the team that are managing the work, those dynamic tasks that are being allocated as part of the process. So the team leader can see how much work that they have and can go into a similar board to the one that we saw for the operations manager, but here we are based on individuals, seeing the members of the team. Now we could have assigned the work out based on roles, but again here we're relying on the team leader to decide who's going to do what work. And the team leader can allocate this out in whichever way they see fit. And you'll see there's actually 2 tasks have been created for each case here because it's a loan application. They're all new customers, so we have an onboard task and we have a create product task. So here we can see this is probably the one for Henry Ford. There are 2 tasks created there. So we can assign these by roles if we wish. And we can see that Betty is almost full up here, and if we keep giving her work, she'll go red. She's gone very red on us. So we now know that she is actually, she is overworked. She's got too much work to do. So we can then start taking some of the work out of her and assigning that to other people. And we can spread the workload amongst the team. But the last piece is to show is the tasks. So the user can now see this is a hot list. So this list can change as tasks are moving in and out. Cases may be moved to other teams, tasks may be moved to other team members. But I can see these in order of importance. For every task and every case, we have case effort as well, so we know how long tasks should be taking. This allows us to create the capacity views that we showed you. So all of this that I've been showing you is what we refer to as hot operations, the ability for management, operation managers and team leaders to be able to manage the workload of their teams. Okay, and then finally the last part to show is just one of our forms in action. Should we show you the form? Here it is. And of course, if I were to shrink this down now and see it on a mobile device, as I shrink it down, it will switch to a single view. If I were to go to our Process to Go portal, this is the view of the form that you will see, simply because it's a smaller screen size. I haven't had to do any additional development. The responsive forms take care of everything for me.
In this demo, we've seen how using HotOperations, you can achieve dynamic case management, manage allocation optimally, reduce cost, and improve SLA, and transform business outcomes. To request a demo of HotOperations, please visit us at pnmsoft.com.